Morning, guests. Good morning, guests and fellow Toastmasters. How are you all doing? I would like all of you to come on camera because today I am really excited. Now, if you ask me why I am excited, then I will say that it is the Gabby's meeting. But today, seeing my dress and all my formal attire, you can see that I am all the more excited because today is not just a normal meeting. It is the three-year anniversary celebration of the Gabbies episode which has been going for 3 years, and today we are on the second day of the celebration because tomorrow we have the most interesting and eventful day because that is the day when Gabby's was born 3 years ago. But before we go on to the celebration, let me set some ground rules of the Toastmasters meeting, which is always followed in the Gabbies. So I would like to request you all to pay attention to that. So today's meeting will be for 2 hours. I would request all of you to come on camera, but ensure that you keep your audio off. Your audio should be on only when you are called or you need to speak. Now, regarding the topics of sex, religion, and politics, Toastmasters International does not keep any restriction, but at the Gabby's Toastmasters Club, I would request all of you to abstain from speaking on these topics. Also, don't use, I would like to urge you not to use any kind of sexist or racist undertone which may seem disrespectful or create hostility and discomfort for the members and guests. Now, let me hand over the stage to our PO, presiding officer of the day, Toastmaster Dweni Adesra, a very special person to me because she is my mentor. So telling about Toastmaster Dweni, she is the BPM of the Gabby's Toastmasters Club and the area director of Area 31D, District 117. She is a double triple crown winner and a double pathbreaker. She is a personality development coach by profession, an artist by heart, and a mental educator by choice. The stage is all yours, Toastmaster Dweni.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Pranav. Can we have a round of applause for RSA for today? With that, hello everybody. And firstly, I want everybody to come on the camera and try to come on the camera. I know some of you are doing something or have some reasons behind it, but I would really love to see your faces today because it's such a bright day over here in Jamshedpur. I don't know about Bangalore if it's raining or not. But then I want to know, how is the Josh? Unmute yourself and tell me, how's the Josh for today?
Hi, sir.
Hi, madam.
I can't hear.
Hi,
Very
hi.
high.
Hi,
Hi.
I want you all to yell and tell me, can't hear.
Josh is hi, madam.
Very high.
Very high. Yes, how about others? I see only 2 people saying that. How about others? No,
Very,
Josh?
very high.
Yeah, very high. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. So it's the day 2 of the celebration and we can't keep calm. Now, Gabbies, the word originally means the people who love to talk. And when I joined Gabbies 2 years back, I remember this community was a very small community of roughly around 30 to 35 members. That's when I joined 2 years back. And I must say that 2 years back, my WhatsApp has never been so happening because every day was a celebration at Gabby's. There was always somebody winning ribbons, winning best role taker, best speaker. And I used to wonder, what is all those things? Until I started winning them. So yes, I must say that the journey from 30 members to 35 members to the journey of having 81 members and building a community so large, it has been a journey in itself and it has been a roller coaster ride for the club. I remember that initially we used to ask people to come up and pick up roles. We had to motivate them to come up and pick up roles for that matter. And today, oh my God, we have people coming us and telling us that please pre-book my slot because I want to take up speaker role, I want to take up an evaluator role, I want to take up the timer role and whatnot. This is the power that we have had, and this is the journey that we are in. This journey wouldn't have been possible without the members' support and the team of XCOM. Initially, when we launched Project 50, to us filing 270 plus awards, educational awards, from us being the top 7 club in the world. This could not have happened without the support of the members. And none of us anticipated that we would come. Just in 3 years, our club would become such a prestigious club and club with highly motivated members. I have seen Gabby's grow. In these 2 years, I have seen Gabby's grow exponentially. And I am sure the people who joined with me would acknowledge this fact and would feel so proud of the club that it is today. I know we still have a long way to go, but then let's celebrate today and let's celebrate how well we have come and what we can do to go ahead. With that, I declare the meeting and the special anniversary meeting open. Now, let's clap. The meeting is open. With that, let me call upon our Toastmaster for today. She is a behavioral leadership trainer. She is the founder of her Ikigai through her job with Akshaya Patra Foundation. She facilitates training program across India that upskills and motivates the frontline workers of her organization. And to upskill herself, her only go-to place is Toastmasters. And she is also a special person to me because she was my very first mentor at the Gabby's Toastmasters Club. She is none other than Toastmaster Lakshmi Sujata. Toastmaster Lakshmi Sujata, the stage is all yours.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Who? Happy birthday, dear Shilpa, Toastmaster Shilpa. And a very, very happy birthday to the Gabbies. So we are so proud to be celebrating 2 awesome birthdays today. If you're wondering why my video is not on, let me come on. And if you're also wondering, oh God, why is Lakshmi dressed like this for such an important meeting? It is because I know I'm in a safe zone, a place where I'm not judged for how I look, what I wear, and what I do. It's a place where it is open to everyone. And the only focus point that we have here is to learn, and not just to learn, to bring up each other, to pull up each other, be it the chartered members or the new members that have joined the club. Each one of us fall in place when it comes to helping each other and supporting each other. And that's why we say Ubuntu. Now let me ask all my lovely guests here today and my fellow Toastmasters, and of course, my dearest Gabbies. Do you know what Ubuntu means? One of you unmute and answer. Anyone?
What was the question? Could you repeat?
Meaning of Ubuntu.
I am because you are.
Almost there.
Some kind of quality that includes everything, human quality.
We
Okay.
are because you are.
I'm sorry.
We are because you are.
No.
Is it compassion?
Kind of.
Hello.
Hello?
Together we grow. Together we grow.
Together we grow. Okay.
Being empathetic to others.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe humanity is another word.
Wonderful. Absolutely. So today, the beautiful meanings that I've heard is the essence of the word Ubuntu. It means I am because we are. And let me ask you this. Where have you heard this word Ubuntu?
Newsletter.
Dhwani, I knew it would come from you. Okay, now some of the things that I'm going to ask right now is probably not for Dhwani, Saurav, and Shilpa. But I will surely reach out to you for your help because you're the experts with the newsletter. Absolutely. Ubuntu means, Ubuntu is the name of our newsletter. Does anyone know when was the first time that when was the first newsletter? When did we release the first newsletter?
When we completed 6 months, March 2021.
I think, Nancy, I should ban you also from this. Just kidding, just kidding.
I'm quiet.
Yeah, just kidding. But no, please don't be completely quiet because I need all your help in this. Absolutely right. The first newsletter was released in the year 2021. And when we released the first newsletter, trust me, we had no idea of what a newsletter should be, how it has to be done, and what has to go into it. It was months of, research. Of course, we had Aditi and Saurav Datta with us to guide us through this entire process. And that's when we realized that probably just as a VPPR, the person might not be able to do this entire humongous task. And we came up with the different, committees that would help us build or create this beautiful magazine called as Ubuntu. From version 1 to version 3, what I see is a beautiful transformation. Transformation, creativity, and innovation. Though the content, the main core content has remained the same, what I see is magic. Now, let me ask my fellow Toastmasters here who are from the Gabby's Toastmasters Club. Have you had a look at Ubuntu 3? Anyone has got a chance to look at our latest magazine? Okay, I see Sanjeev, Toastmaster Chaitanya. Who else? I see Toastmaster Feroz raising his hand.
Well, I've already seen it, but not yet read it.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I see Toastmaster Karthik raising his hand, Toastmaster Samita raising her hand. Thank you so much. And for the others, if you have not done it, I would say you're very late. You better do it right now because that's the amount of magic that you will find in that newsletter. Please read it. Beautiful articles, beautiful testimonials, and what touched my heart was the artwork by our very own Toastmaster Dhwani. A big round of applause to the entire team that has put up this fabulous work and given it to us so well. Now, also for the information of all our guests here and fellow Toastmasters, Ubuntu, or rather the Toastmaster, the magazine, there is a club level contest that happens for the best magazine as well. And let's all pray and hope that this time again, we get it. Because last time, I think our club also won the best PR club, the best club for PR, if I'm not mistaken. So let's wait to see that what magic Ubuntu can create outside of Gabby's as well. With this thought in mind, that we are all here together, we are all here to learn together, we are all here to uphold and uplift each other. I would like to invite our special guest for the day. However, before that, I would also like to introduce our timer for the day. Our timer for the day is Toastmaster Chitrakshi. So, Toastmaster Chitrakshi, I would take the freedom to just give the brief of how. Okay, I think it is Toastmaster Sanjana. Yes, okay, I'm sorry about it. It's Toastmaster Sanjana. So Toastmaster Sanjana, let me take the freedom to just explain how the timer cards would be. And if we can just spotlight Toastmaster Sanjana for a minute, she can change the cards as I speak. Yeah, thank you so much. So the timer has a special role for today. She has two major events to time. The first is the keynote speech, which is for 40 minutes. And at 20 minutes, she would show the green card. Can we see? Yes, thank you. At 30 minutes, she would show the yellow card. That is, her background is going to change. And at 40 minutes, it would be the red. And it would continue to remain at red because red means stop. Red means we are running out of time. Okay. And we would be following the same pattern for both the events today, which is the keynote speech and the panel discussion. So with that, I hope the Gabbies are all geared up to enter this journey of learning with an amazing and brilliant speaker. We have amongst us Colonel Sahibir Judge. He has served in the Indian Army for 28 years in counter-insurgency operation, in military police, and as company commander at Rashtrapati Bhavan. He was also the Deputy Inspector General, DIG, retired, Maharashtra Police. Training of commandos and IPS officers for unconventional operations and counter-insurgency operations. Colonel Sahibir Judge, it's our absolute pleasure to have you amongst us today. We welcome you to this beautiful event. Colonel Sahibir Judge, communication is a survival skill. Communication is a survival skill, Colonel Sahibir Judge. Over to you, sir.
Can you hear me all?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Hello? So I think we've lost your connection because we're not able to hear you now. You might want to unmute.
Yeah, now can you hear me?
Clear and loud, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, my apologies for joining late because of some technical glitch which happened. I'm shifted new to a place, so these things take time to settle down probably. I'm very grateful to I'm grateful to the team for approaching me and allowing me this time to speak to you all. I'm grateful for the beautiful introduction which Sujata did for me. I do not know whether I deserve all that accolades which have been attributed to me. But like a good speaker, she forgot my USP. And ladies and gentlemen, my USP is that I am a BA pass 82 vintage, second divisioner. So when I was approached for this talk, and when I was told that there will be people from all walks of life, with all age groups, and I have to talk to them about the communications. I was, reminded of a joke which I heard when I was in the staff college in Wellington, which goes like this: that there was a Canadian citizen who was visiting India. So when he was visiting India, he asked one of his friends, how do you greet an Indian when you meet him? So the Indian said, Namaste ji. So after some time, he said, okay, when we depart, how do I greet him? He says, Namaste ji. So the Canadian turns around and says, now I understand why you Indians do not know whether you're going or coming. So this was my condition when I was told to address such an august gathering. So moving on to the subject now, communication. Communication has always been a hallmark of any organization, any relationship, or anything we do in life is full of communications. So how do we define communication? It's very simple. Like anything we do, it's a communication. Like you move, it's communication. You lift a glass, it's a communication. You move out to a restaurant, you move out to meet your friends, it is a communication. So how do we define communication? So I'm reminded of an old colonel, Mr. Colonel Shanti Savru, who was my instructor. So when we were talking about communication a couple of decades back, he made a statement which I want to share with you. He said, the level of communication is effective when a person under your command, on your orders, knowing fully well that he is going to die, still takes on the task and completes it. So that is what is the hallmark for me as a communicator. If I can communicate with my peers, with my juniors, with my seniors effectively, I think that is the battle won. Now, the types of communications you all understand. There can be verbal communication, there can be written communication, and there can be non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, all married men, they know when their wives do the non-verbal communication. So that is, raising of an eyebrow, mouthing, nothing. So that is what is non-verbal communication all about. So communication, as far as I'm concerned, has a process. It undergoes a process. The first part of the process, which I feel, is the aim of communication. Like our originator has to be very clear. What is the aim? So if the aim is clear, the communication clarity will be there. Second is the originator should have conviction. The conviction, it's very important. Like if I'm communicating with you today, and if I'm not actually believing in what I'm saying, the communication will fall short. It will not be convincing. So conviction is very important. Then is putting your thoughts into words And I'm only talking about verbal communication today because written and non-verbal, we are not touching upon. So encoding, like whatever my thoughts are, they have to be communicated to somebody. That somebody understands a particular language, tenor, body language. So in that I have to now convert my thoughts into those actions. So that encoding or that transfer which takes place from thought to manifestation, that is very important. Then the mode of communication. How you're doing it. Is it personal, one-to-one? Is it like a group like we are doing now? Is it virtual? Is it physical? So all the communication, the tenor will change with the mode of communication. And finally, every good communicator should have a system of having a feedback. So the feedback process is very important, both for the receiver and the originator. For the receiver to give a feedback will mean that the receiver has received it correctly, he has understood, and he has got some inputs to add or some clarifications to seek. So if that happens, then the communication becomes more clear. And for the originator, to make it sure that the person to whom he is communicating has understood. So in the army, we have a very simple system of doing it. The crux of the communication, like if I am talking about an operation to my troops or to my officers, the aim of the operations is very important. So when I define the aim, I always make the receiver repeat the aim so that I'm clear that the aim is clear to him. So that is very important. So if the aim is clear, then everything else will fall into place. Similarly, other important aspects of communication, we have a system in the army that we tell them to repeat. So thereby, ensuring that the originator's communication has been received very correct. Moving forward, a very important aspect is that how to make or what makes communication effective. The first thing which came to my mind was the stature of the source. Like how he is placed within the organization. Does he have the tools? Does he have the knowledge? Does he have the stature to speak on the subject on which he speaks? How much respect professionally he has got to understand the thing which he is going to communicate to the people. And the stature makes a lot of difference. The biggest example of this is, what I can think of today is Mahatma Gandhi. Imagine 8 to 9 decades ago, with no communication tools, with no knowledge what we are equipped with no technology which we are equipped with, the audience which was so huge, spread across India, with not even proper means of communication, physical communication, he got the whole country together. He brought the whole country together on one platform and said, we want freedom. Now, that is what the stature of an originator means. So it is very important that the person who is communicating has the right credentials. So if you have the right credentials, the communication will be good. Content. You may not be a very good orator. It happens. There you would have seen so many great people who are not good orators, including Mahatma Gandhi. If you listen to his speeches now, he may not come out as trumps as an orator. But look at the content which he has. Look at the way he touches the heart of the people. Look at the way he, comes down to the level of the people he is talking to. People understand him well. People acknowledge his views. People reciprocate in large numbers. So that is what is known as content. If the content is good, the communication clarity will be there, and the people who are receiving it would understand. I'll go back to my younger days. I was commissioned in December 83 as the very young officer. I was just 19 plus at that time. Within 6 months, we were faced with a big turbulence. That was the Operation Blue Star happened. Then the unfortunate assassination of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, our late Prime Minister, happened. And it had an impact on the defense forces, especially the army. Because you know that we have regiments. And a Sikh regiment is a very, very prominent part of the forces. So there was some turbulence in some of the battalions. Not directly attributed to this incident, there were internal problems also, but however, that thing happened. I was in a place called Ganganagar. Imagine in the same brigade where we were there was a Sikh battalion and there was turbulence there. At 1 o'clock in the night, we get the news that people have moved to the armory and the ammunition dump of the area, and they are, picking up weapons, they're picking up ammunition, and they have, they are very agitated. I, as a young lieutenant, that time a second lieutenant, now that rank is abolished, was tasked to go and stop that. Now imagine doing this in an environment wherein they are our neighboring battalion. We have been eating and playing and, talking to each other on daily basis. Those people are in turbulence and I have to go and stop them. I am from a different regiment, but to top it, I'm a Sikh. So how the communication started now? First, to convince my boys that this is the task has been given and we have to do it. With all the sensitivity involved. They are a neighboring battalion. My boys also know those boys. And they have been playing hockey together. They have been playing volleyball together. They have been boxing together. And now suddenly we have to go and disarm them. So that was the difficult part for a 19-year-old second lieutenant. And then going there, laying a siege, and then talking it out with the opposite party. Now, as I said, the content and the language I knew. And as a 19-year-old, I'm talking to those guys and trying to calm them down. It took me almost 2 hours of talking because I was very clear that I will not allow bloodshed until unless it is very, very essential. Until unless they fire at us, we will not. So when we talked it out with them, when I calmed them down, when I told them about what could the implications be, and they have put me in such a difficult situation, they understood. They left the weapons, they left the ammunition, they themselves disarmed themselves, and we allowed them a safe passage to go to their barracks to be dealt by the authorities later. So this is the difficulty of a communicator at times. If you lose your cool, if you lose sight of your content, if you lose sight of your task, then the problem will become more. It will become adverse. So this is how that situation was handled. Sometimes we undergo very extreme circumstances when the mettle of a leader, and the leader is a communicator, he is the originator of the communication. It happens that the circumstances are so adverse that he has to now take control of the situation. And the only way to take control of the situation is to have a very precise communication with the people in the environment. Another example I'll give you, it was in 89-90. I was moving from Srinagar to Kargil. One vehicle, 3 men with me, 1 driver and self. No arms and ammunition with us, because during those days, the problems were not there in J&K. Suddenly, the arrest of now a very big leader in J&K of the Ultras, Shabir Shah, takes place. We have to move through Sopore, which is next to Srinagar, and route to Leh. Sopore had become a hotbed of, anti-national sentiments at that point of time. We are unaware what is happening there. There's no communication, there's no social media, there's no mobile. We have been ordered to move, we just move. When we are crossing Sopore, to our horror, we find there is a group of 200, more than 200 people, most of them men, but led by the ladies, with mashals in their hand, marching on the roads, raising anti-national slogans. The moment they see my 1 ton, which was a vehicle in which I was traveling, a 1 ton of vehicle, they start raising anti-army slogans, and they are moving towards us with the mashals in their hands, with the full intention of burning us off. I tell my driver to reverse, there is no space. The only way to go from there is forward. Stuck. What to do now? If I move forward with speed, some people will get trampled under the vehicle. If I don't, they will come and burn us off, because it's mob mentality. Mob is there, so they can do anything. I had a driver with me, so I told him, put गाड़ी को first gear में लगाओ और चलाओ, देखते क्या होता. This chap is not listening to me, because at times the paralysis does take place. So I pull this driver towards my co-driver's seat. I shift to the driver's seat. I put the vehicle in first gear. I put my head down and press the accelerator. 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, nothing happens. My vehicle is not hitting anywhere, it's just moving. After 20-25 seconds, when I lift my head, I find the crowd had given way. They have left the road and let the vehicle pass away because they were scared of getting trampled. So that is what the communication at times will fail. And every originator, every leader has to be prepared for failure of communication and non-receipt of communication, paralysis at times. So the plan B has to be in place. So the communication is not the only part, the action is the bigger part. So if on your communication, the action doesn't happen, then you have to take control and do the communication as well as the action. Proximity to the recipient. That is another important ingredient of communication. like how far or how near you are from the target, that is the person or the organization or the people whom you are going to communicate with. If you are close by, physically present, easier. If you are on virtual with the present technology, on a Zoom, on a video call, okay. If you are on written communication, exchanging mails, if the physical communication is not possible, that is also okay. But there would be times when none of these work and still you have to now communicate. Control the situation. I'm reminded of a situation 3 to 4 years back in the present company which I just left. It is a chemical company and there is a big blast with two. A blast takes place at 2 o'clock in the morning. Blast takes place in Gujarat. I am in Delhi. I get the news at 1:30, 2 o'clock that such a thing happened. There are people who are missing. The fire is very great. The blasts are still happening within the factory. The people around the area are agitated because they feel it should not, they are fearing a Bhopal gas tragedy kind of a thing. And there are people from the locals who are within that factory. They are worried about them. They are agitated. They are trying to, come inside the factory. Our security chaps are unable to hold them on. They are getting beaten up. The police is not responding. It will take time for them to reach. So all these kind of situations you have to handle from a distance about 1,500 to 1,800 kilometers. So that is where your stature as an originator will come into play. You have to make them feel as if you are with them at that point of time. Be in close contact with them. Be on telephone all the while. Keep guiding them. Keep motivating them to hold the ground till the police arrives. That was a very big challenge. And many more big challenges followed, handling the mob on one side, evacuation on the second side, putting off the fire, handling the government agencies who come in, handling the media, which is now like hawks, they move in. So that is where your communication skills will be tested as leaders. You have to stand firm. You have to stand your ground. You have to know what tenor to apply where. You cannot speak the same language with everyone. With the police, you have to speak a different kind of language. With the local people, you have to deal them differently. The government agencies, you have to deal with differently. And with the media, a different set of people and different skills are required. So in today's world, it is very important to have skilled people in different departments of communication. One communicator cannot do the job for everything. So we have to develop these skills as a communicator to understand, to communicate, and to control the situation when adversity strikes. Always remember, communication happens when the requirement of communication is there. And most of the time, when you are communicating, it would be tight time schedules, tight timelines, adverse circumstances, challenges. So if we, as originators, do not have the calm, the depth, and the knowledge to handle the situation, the system may collapse. So that is very important that in the adverse circumstances, we hold our. Then there will be circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, which are usually put into a
Sir, you are on mute.
Sorry, I got disturbed. So there will be a circumstance where you will be put in a situation where the task will be totally different than your training skills or your present mindset. You are planning to do something, but then the organization does a total U-turn, or the circumstances do a total U-turn, and you are put in a situation where you have to communicate to the people a very different set of tasks which they were doing till yesterday, probably. So, as an originator, as a communicator, as a leader, you have to be prepared for an action, for a situation where you have to now change the mindset of the people at the very early, in a very earlier time frame, very fast. So that is where the communicator and the person who's communicating will come in very, very, I would say, under pressure for delivering. That is a challenge which you will all feel have come to you in your different walks of life, and you would have handled it. I am again reminded of a situation when we were in Kargil from 88 to 90. Because of the good work done in Kargil sector and Siachen Glacier, we were rewarded. The so-called reward was to move to Rashtrapati Bhavan as the ceremonial guard of the president, who happens also to be the supreme commander of the defense forces. Now, please understand the scenario. We are in Kargil in Siachen Glacier, where we wear a different set of clothes, where we live in bunkers, where the turnout and the uniforms and the saluting and the normal army thing is not at all done. People have got used to, for last 2.5 years, of a very casual kind of a relationship between the hierarchy. Like if you're in such a difficult situation, if you're sharing the bunker with a Jawan, you can't be staying aloof. You have to, mingle with them, eat with them, sing with them, play cards with them, because there is no way out. In minus 24, 27, minus 42 degrees we have been to. How can you be aloof? So they also get used to you. You become their commander, of course, but their comrade more. So in such a situation, now you are coming back to a place where everything has to be spick and span. The uniforms have to be first class. Your drills have to be taped up. Your saluting has to be the best. Your march past has to be wonderful, because you're going to now receive and give guard of honor to the heads of state visiting the president. And you get how many days? 15 days to switch over from Kargil mode to Rashtrapati Bhavan. So that was a big challenge. And how to communicate at that point of time. The basic problem is the mindset, and the mindset only will change with good communication. There is no other way of changing the mindset of a person. The technology, the orders, the SOPs won't change a mindset of a person. You have to talk to them and make them realize the past is over, the present is important and has to be adopted at the earliest. So making of uniforms, taping up the drills, working day and night, understanding the duties, mounting the guards, relieving the outgoing battalion. What a big task it is after coming back from such a situation. But it had to be done. And every battalion, every 3 years, does it very successfully in this scenario. So we were no less. And it all happened because of the communication between the leaders and the led. The way we taught them, the way we spoke to them, the way we motivated them, the way we changed our mindsets first and then made the change happen in them. So that is how within 15 days we were all set. And we took over the duties in Rashtrapati Bhavan. Precision. How many minutes I have done? I can't see you. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I think we have another 10 minutes left. Is that right, Sanjana, Toastmaster Sanjana?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Precision in communication. That is very important because most of us working in the corporates, working in various walks of life, whether we are running our own organizations or we are working for somebody, even in service class people, when the communication has to be there, it has to be precise. Precise when I say it has to hit the man who has to act. If your communication does not convince a person as to how and when he is supposed to act, then the communication is a failure. I will again give another example how the precision works. I was the Deputy Inspector General of Police in Maharashtra, and we were doing anti-Naxalite operations. In reports come that 3 to 4 militants have come to a town. They are looking for a vehicle, a 4-wheeler. We managed to sell them an old police vehicle, a Tata Sumo, which is modified as per their requirements. And then when this deal is set, they don't have a driving skill, so they can't drive it up the hill and in the jungle area. So they are looking for a driver. So we managed to insert a commando from the police force as a driver in their group. Now the deal with that driver or the operational detail with that driver is that you will bring the vehicle, you will drive the vehicle, and you will stop the vehicle at so-and-so place, and you will get down. And when you get down, that will be the signal for us to take the necessary action against the militants. Now, it is such a precise thing. The vehicle comes, it comes to a point. Firstly, if he misses the point, the whole operation is off. It has to come to that point. Then the vehicle has to stop there. Then he has to make a pretext of coming out of the vehicle, and he has to be away from the vehicle. He can't be standing next to the vehicle because we would be moving in and doing the necessary action, as you understand. So, and every kind of scenario in my mind, I played it out, discussed with them. You know, if the timing goes awry, then what happens? It becomes night, then what happens? If it is daytime, then what happens? If the people get suspicious, then what happens? So all these scenarios worked out. And when the operation started, the vehicle started from one place. It was supposed to reach around 4:30 at that place. We got deployed around 3:30 in that place. And till 7:30, there was no news of the vehicle. Mobiles are not functional because it is a very remote area. There are no towers. And we are just waiting. At around 7:38, we find two headlights approaching. Now we are praying that it is the same vehicle. Now, exactly at the same point, the vehicle stops. Now, dilemma of the driver, whether to switch off the engine or keep the engine switched on. Because if he switches off the engine and switches off the light, we will lose the vehicle because we are almost 50 to 60 meters away. So this guy, very well trained commando, took a decision on his own to keep the engine on and the headlight on. When the engine is on and when the headlight is on, how do we know that this man has moved away? But the precise communication which we did with him before starting the operation came in very handy. He comes out of the vehicle, we have a remote switch. So he comes out at a pretext of going and relieving himself. He comes out, moves around 10 meters, and then he switches the remote. And as all you know, when the remote is switched, there is a click and there's a lighting. When that happened, we knew he's out and we struck. We are almost 30, 40 meters in the jungles. We struck, and within no time, the militants got neutralized. 4 of them. They had weapons, they had ammunition, but they could not fire a single shot because it was so well planned and well executed operation by our partners. So the precision in the communication to work out all the scenarios, all the possibilities is a must. So these are the problems which you as a communicator will have to overcome. There are certain barriers which come in. Language is one barrier. In language, there are other problems also. The vocabulary may be poor, inadequate pronunciation may be there. So we have to all get over that and do that. Physical barriers are there, like noise will be there, poor timing will be there, organizational barriers are there. You are not supposed to communicate. There is hierarchy, poor channels of communications. Emotionally, sometimes you will have barriers when the originator has ego, he is not listening, he is only talking. So the communication will again fail. Personal barriers come in. I don't want to annoy my boss. I don't want to say this in front of so and so. So all these barriers, you have to be brave enough at times to do this and overcome this. I can only give you one example of how we overcame the language barrier in our regiment. I'm from the Madras regiment, and Madras regiment troops were not speaking Hindi well. But unfortunately, all over the courses of instructions where the training happens and where the courses are happening, the boys used to lose out because they were not communicating well in Hindi. So earlier emphasis was for us as North Indians to learn Tamil and be with them and understand the language. Along with that, we started another initiative. We started teaching them Hindi. So in my regiment, first 2 months of training is known as zero training, wherein we teach every South Indian troop who comes adequate amount of Hindi, so that when he goes out, when he communicates, when he becomes a soldier and does courses of instruction, he is good in his skills, but he loses out on instructional grading just because his Hindi is poor. So that has turned the tide now. Our Jawans have started doing very much well in the outside world. So this is how you overcome the problems of barriers. Poor timing, at times your boss will, irritate you. I had a boss when I was in the Wellington Training Institution. This guy was a brigadier. He will come from the partying at around 11 o'clock, start seeing the mail. Those days there was no emails. It was all physical mails. And at midnight, 1 o'clock, he'll wake me up. What is this? Iska kya karna hai? Iska kya jawab banayenge? So I saw it for a couple of days. Then I had to, be courageous and tell him, sir, do you want a groggy staff officer in the morning who is not non-functional during the daytime? He said, no, no, no. I said, it is my time to sleep and take rest so that at 5 o'clock when a day starts, I'm refreshed. So do you want me to do that or do you don't want me to do that? That was the last day. He rang me up in the night. So the courage of conviction has to be there with the communicator. Until unless you have this courage, the communication will never happen. You will suffer, you'll make your people suffer, and the positivity which should happen within a communication will dwindle over a period of time. So I very, very important for me as a human being and as communicator to be having the courage of conviction. Ladies and gentlemen, communication is nobody's birthright or the trademark or a copyright. Everybody has his own experiences. I have my own journey from army to police to entrepreneurship to corporate, and now another journey with you people talking to you about communications. I have shared with you my experiences and my take on communication as a skill for survival. Communication is a very important tool to survive in the modern day world. And it is not limited to only defense forces. It is more important in the outside world, in the civil world. I have unlearned a lot when I came to the civil. I have relearned a lot during my last 10 years of public life or the civil life. And these are my experiences which I have shared with you. I hope some of you will take something out of it, good. Sometimes negatives also teach you. So I wish all of you very well. I understand that all of us are learning. I am still learning, and there is no way you can stop learning. Because there's the famous saying that a person who said that I have learned everything and I am fully equipped has actually not learned. He has just stopped growing. Thank you very much for listening patiently to me. Jai Hind and a good day. I'm open to questions now. If any, I'll be very, very delighted to answer those.
Thank you so much, Colonel Sabir. Judge, the journey that you just took us through was enhancing, insightful, and I must say that we have learned a lot more in this 40 minutes than I think we had learned in the past 2-3 years in this journey of communication. Your examples to connect to the actual learning was what made that impact. Dear Toastmasters and fellow guests, we have time to take 2 questions. If anybody would like to take, I think I see Toastmaster Aparna has raised her hand. Aparna, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Aparna.
Yeah. Good morning, Colonel Sahib Judge. What a pleasure it was to listen to you. I joined midway and I was blown away. So my question for you is, how is it that you control your emotions when you speak, especially when the situation demands and it makes you very emotional? How do you handle the emotions when you speak? How do you control it or modulate it as needed?
Aparna, this comes out of training. When you train well, when you understand the situations well, when you communicate, you are prepared for it. Like today, when I came to address you guys, I was prepared for it. Like I had already shared my synopsis 2 days back with Saurabh Datta. So it is the preparation and the training which will help you in good state. Even in very adverse circumstances, people have asked me, I have been through 54 encounters, 108 kills, thrice ambushed, 21 bullets in my body. So people have, asked me this question that doesn't fear overcome you, doesn't paralysis overcome you? So I tell them one thing, that training. If you train well, the training takes over your body and mind functions. So if you have trained well and you have trained yourself to be unbiased, to be, not getting swayed away by emotions, then definitely this will help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. Do we have another question? Anyone else would like to ask a question? Toastmaster Feroz, do you have a question? I see that you have unmuted.
Yeah, just a small question, Colonel. While you are speaking in any situation, I know you talked about preparation for controlling your emotions, but sometimes if you have a very aggressive audience and you have to talk to them and persuade them to, first of all, be able to enable them listen to you, and then secondly, to persuade them. What is it as your basic requirement to do so?
Feroz, in this, I would say patience. I will quote an example again. Do I have time for 2 minutes to give an example?
Yes, sir.
So there was an incident in the counterinsurgency area where I was a staff officer again, where by mistake, I won't be able to give you the whole detail, but by mistake, 2 civilians were killed by our army guys. Now there was a lot of commotion, and they refused to lift the bodies, they refused to, do the burial, and they were creating a lot of noise. The media was there and a lot of pressure onto us. So I was told to negotiate with them because they were Dogris and Punjabi speaking kind of a thing. So I was trying. So we spoke for almost 7-8 hours to them. We let them vent out their feelings. We kept on interjecting. We kept on putting across our point. And by the evening, before last flight happened, everything calmed down, and they took away the bodies and they did not register any case against us, although we took some internal measures to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So these are the kind of situations where your patience will be tested as a communicator. So if you lose your patience, everything will fall apart. If the person is being aggressive, you have to be calm. You don't have to be weak. You don't have to bend backwards. But calmness is one thing which will help you, and the patience will help you get over this kind of a situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think those are very important aspects of communication.
I think our Colonel Sahibir Judge deserves a standing ovation, not just for the keynote address that he gave us today, but for all that he has done for the country and for all of us. So I request all the Toastmasters to kindly stand up and give him a big round of applause. And this is our acknowledgement of our respect to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful for acknowledging a soldier. I have done no great shakes. I've just done my duty. And it really, really warms your heart when people like you from across the so many walks of life and across the age groups acknowledge this in unison. It really warms our hearts. Thank you so much. I attribute all this and will convey this to all my command, which is still in touch with me, both in police and in the army. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
After that spectacular keynote speech, I'm sure most of us here are equally overwhelmed and motivated as much as I am right now. With this, let's go ahead and deep dive and see what our Ubuntu holds for us. And for this, I would request Toastmaster Dhwani's help and Toastmaster Shilpa's help, because I think DTM Saurav is not here right now. Yeah, he's had a connect. Yes. So, Toastmaster Dhwani, you're on my side for the next 2 minutes. Yes. Okay. So, if some of you have seen the magazine, right in the content page, you will see some very unique words. Toastmaster Dhwani, please correct me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. The first one is Olotu, Omos, Arglaw, Ufakazi, Noel, Idunimage. That I understood. Yes. So what I want to understand from each one of you here is, let me just go to the gallery view so that I can see everyone. What do you think Olutu means? Any guesses? Doesn't matter if it is right or wrong. I'll just
Content?
No. So it under Olutu, the subtitle says from the editorial team. So that is the description that they have given in the magazine. So what do you think Olutu means?
What you don't know.
What we don't know.
Thankful.
Thankful. Okay. What else?
About us.
What I understand it means is leadership of any kind. Toastmaster Dhwani, please correct me. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So Olutu means leadership. And I think that's why it falls under the editorial team, right? Next is Omos. Is that right? Have I pronounced it right? Yeah. So any guesses on what it means?
About us?
This is definitely about us.
About us? Is that right, Toastmaster Dhwani? Toastmaster Dhwani, because even I couldn't find the meaning of that word. I've been searching for a while now.
Technically, Saurav would know the answer, but yes, according to my knowledge, it's about us.
About us. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So let's take a break here before we go on to the other words and other meanings, because we have our panelists ready to go. And to moderate this panel discussion, we have our very own VP Education, the Charter President, a Senior Data Analyst, a Certified Personal Branding Coach, DTM Nancy Goel with us. DTM Nancy Goel is going to moderate a panel discussion on Toastmasters at Work. Toastmasters at Work, DTM Nancy Goel. Over to you. Let me give you the privilege to introduce our eminent panelists for the day. And
Thank you so much.
Nancy,
Yes.
would you want me to just repeat the timelines once again, or is it okay?
We are good.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just request the Zoom moderator to spotlight the timer at 20 minutes so that we know we are on time. All right. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lakshmi Sujata. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Gabby's Toastmasters Club panel discussion on Toastmasters at Work. Today, we have the privilege of hearing insights from 3 distinguished professionals who have excelled in their respective fields. As I announce their names and introduce them, I would request the Zoom moderator to spotlight them. Our first panelist is Toastmaster Samita Kar. Toastmaster Samita has 30 years of experience in the academia as a principal and now as a trainer. She is a mother of 2 wonderful children, and one of them, her son Souvik, introduced her to Toastmasters. I'm really looking forward to understanding more about Toastmasters and her experience as a principal. Toastmaster Samita, welcome to the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nancy. I'm looking forward to this session.
Thank you, Toastmaster Samita. Our next panelist is Dr. Bindu. She is a consultant oncologist and professor at Kidwai Memorial Institute of Oncology. Although she has finished a few parts, she doesn't consider herself a very good speaker. We'll definitely get to know how good a speaker she is, as we have heard her speaking quite a number of times in the past. Anything that stimulates or challenges her creativity in the present or future is what she loves. Dr. Bindu, welcome to the panel discussion. Really looking forward to your insights.
Thank you, Nancy. And it is Bindu. This is a rare occasion when I have allowed my designation to be there in a Toastmaster club, because any Toastmaster club, I just want to be just any other Toastmaster, not with that title. Back to you, Nancy.
Thank you, Dr. Bindu. Oof, Toastmaster Bindu. Our next panelist we have is distinguished Toastmaster Bala Venkat. He's a digital banker currently based out of Singapore, who started his Toastmasters journey in 2019. He has taken up various XCOM roles, completed 2 parts. He's a winner of several contests like Humorous Speech Contest, Table Topic Contest, International Speech Contest, and who enjoys publishing books and directing movies. Distinguished Toastmaster Bala Venkat, welcome to the panel discussion.
Hey, DTM Nancy, thank you for having me here. I would love to be known as a passionate public speaker more than anything else. So looking forward to this wonderful sharing along with other panelists.
Thank you so much. Thanks to my wonderful panelists for coming over, for shelling out some time from their personal life to share their insights on Toastmasters at work. As we're talking about Toastmasters at work, I must tell each one of you that DTM Bala is already at work. He is at a conference where he is shelling out some time for this panel discussion in the middle of this conference, work conference. So let's start with DTM Bala. DTM Bala, would you like to share some insights about your conference? What are you here for? And what are you going to talk about?
Yeah, I'm actually attending an angel investor conference. I'm into angel investing, deep tech startups, something that I'm passionate about. And I'll talk more about how I'm leveraging my Toastmaster experience in my other alternative career as an angel investor, as a startup mentor. So I'll be speaking shortly at around 2:45 here. I have a session on how can a startups become a unicorn startups and what does it mean? So in the meanwhile, I thought anyway, we'll share Toastmasters to come here and also share my knowledge in terms of how I have grown as a Toastmaster. So that's basically what I'm going to share and what motivated me and how I'm leveraging all those Toastmaster skills in my current professional role, and also how I'm improving my alternative career option.
Absolutely beautiful that when you are at work and still sharing some insights on what motivated you to join Toastmasters. I'm really excited to know from all our panelists what motivated them to join Toastmasters, starting with Toastmaster Samita.
A teacher, as you know, and later as a principal, we love to talk a lot. We talk a lot. What we forget is how to condense that thought and deliver it within a given time. So the table topics that I had experienced in Toastmaster was the first time when I realized how important it is to be to the point, brief, and within that given time limit. Because we are used to speaking 40 minutes at a time. So that is the usual way that we speak. And the second thing that really caught my attention here was active listening. Now, when I'm in school, the children are much younger to me, so I always have an upper hand. Active listening helps me to understand what that child is going through, or a new teacher who has come, or what is his or her problem. So these are the two things from Toastmaster which I had taken, and that helped me a lot to understand that. And going forward in the journey, I being from a tier 2 city, I want this level of communication, because today, if you don't communicate properly, you don't have a good job experience, business experience, even relationship. You need to be very clear in how you are communicating. This is one aspect which lacks in these types of tier 2, tier 3 cities. One is confidence, one is that clarity in thought. So that is what I am working towards right now, empowering those kids to have the confidence that they can communicate in any language, especially English. So that is my journey right at present. Over to you.
It's absolutely wonderful to hear what you're currently doing. And you have already touched upon two important aspects of Toastmasters, active listening and how to share your insights within lesser time for those, especially for those who can speak for hours and who don't have stage fright or a fear. But yeah, that's really an important aspect. Moving on to Dr. Bindu, Toastmaster Bindu, what are your thoughts? What motivated you to join Toastmasters?
Well, Nancy, the reason why I joined Toastmasters and why I should join Toastmasters are two different things. Why I joined Toastmasters was a result of an accident, a literal accident, and that takes a 7-minute speech. It cannot be done in a 3-minute elevator pitch. But why I had to join Toastmasters, that might have some value to a few of the audience who had similar experiences. Now, you did describe me as a doctor. I'm an oncologist. I'm working at a regional cancer center. I'm also a teacher, as we do have postgraduates learning oncology under us, as well as we do clinical research. As such, there is a lot of information, data collected. In short, I'm good at my job. I know that I'm good at it. But in the past, I had a major handicap, and that was stage fright. I still do have stage fright, but it was so bad that if there was a meeting and if I was asked to become a speaker, as very often I was, I would push it on to my junior colleague. If there was a conference, I would cook up ridiculous excuses not to attend because I knew I'd had to be a moderator or a chairperson. It was a real handicap. One fine day, yes, following that accident, which you'll hear about some other time, I decided this has to stop. And that is what brought me to Toastmasters. Back to you, Nancy.
It's lovely to know what drove you to Toastmasters, and I'm sure a couple of us can definitely relate to this, the fear of stage fright, how important it becomes at certain points in our lives, especially when it comes to a professional life, that we need to come forward and speak. And it's all the more important to overcome the stage fright. So totally relatable. Moving on to DTM Bala. What motivated you to join Toastmasters, DTM Bala?
Yeah, when I was in my school, I was kind of influenced by some of the great thinkers. I used to kind of worship Swami Vivekananda and his speech about at the World Parliament of Religions, that inspirational speech, something that I grew up with when I was in school. Then I had this Martin Luther King's I Had a Dream speech, which kept me awake when I was in college. Then I attended, as when I first came to Singapore, I attended one of the public speaking event, which was hosted by a person who was physically challenged. He was actually in a wheelchair, and he actually gave a motivational speech. And I saw the person who was sitting next to me completely moved. He was tears coming out, and he held my hand and he said, "I'm going to become a better person." His words, I wish I had actually listened to this person a few years ago. That kind of gave me a, my God, people, we can touch people with words. We can actually move people, influence, have an impact on people around us if you genuinely feel for them, feel passionate for them, express that. And I thought, what a better way to hone that skill, to grow that skill with like-minded individuals in a platform like Toastmasters. So that's really what motivated me and making me to continue in this Toastmaster journey.
Yeah, absolutely pointed out the very important thought here that the biggest illusion of communication is that we believe it's habit. And it's not complete unless you receive the solicited response. That's what becomes a USP of a public speaker, unless you understand the entire aspect, whether the communication is happening or not. And Colonel Sahibir Judge has already emphasized enough on this, how we can move people, how we can get solicited responses from people unless we have that task in our mind. So all of you, my panelists here, they are very well accomplished in their own professions. Despite that, they felt there's a need for them to be a better communicator, better public speaker, to come forward and learn these skills. And everyone has just emphasized on these points. Now, I would like to delve deep into everyone's profession and want to understand more insights on how and what can be done better. And when it comes to data science, since Bala has been a data science and analytics leader, I would want to pass this question to Bala. Data science often involves presenting complex data findings to diverse audiences. Can you share examples of how Toastmasters has enhanced your data presentation and storytelling abilities?
Absolutely. This is data science and Toastmasters, to be honest, are very, very similar in many ways. You know, data science is about targeting. You need to understand what is your target audience. Toastmasters is also about understanding your target audience. Whenever you make a public speech, you need to know who you are addressing to. When you solve a data science problem, you look at customer behavior. Now you look at your audience behavior, how they are actually reacting. How do you actually genuinely express your thoughts? And most important aspect of data science, if you are into artificial intelligence, machine learning, building models and so on, one important aspect that you know is reinforcement learning, feedback loop. A model keeps learning itself every time to become better. What do we do in Toastmasters? We do exactly the same. We take the feedback, we make ourselves better and better, like a model that actually makes itself better. So I believe that if you are someone who understands your audience, understands your content, understands the importance of feedback, my fellow Toastmasters, you're already a data science analyst. Back to you, DTM Nancy.
I was just mesmerized by the way you have related all of us to machine learning models. You just capture data, learn from the feedback, and be better. Now, am I a machine learning model? I need to really think through. I'm sure my next night is going to be about these thoughts only. Thank you so much. My next question is to Toastmaster Samita. Toastmaster Samita, education involves interacting with students, parents, faculty. You have already mentioned about these. Could you share examples of how Toastmasters journey influenced your leadership and communication in the school environment?
The the school, as you know, when the Right to Education Act became compulsory, when we started having parents who had come for the first time. They were illiterates. They wanted their kids to attend school. Now, as a principal, to communicate to them, why should they send their child to school every single day? And what is the result of that? Because see, sending a child today, tomorrow the child is not going to earn anything. But this 10 years, 12 years long process, why is that important? And why should they continuously send the child to school? Because for them, really, the school was not a very friendly environment. It is something new. It is something daunting. There are books, and they had this in their mind, should we send them regularly? What if we don't send them? So all these aspects needed to be conveyed to them properly. That was one great challenge. Second, I was fortunate enough because around 50 tribal children were brought to my school. These were mostly from the Gond tribe. When they came 6 years old to my school, and I had to convey to the parents that why they need to leave a 6-year-old in my school so that I can skill them up, was an even greater challenge. So in school environment, when we have these parents, these interactions are very, very important. With the teachers, it so happens that when a teacher enters the school, the teacher has all the degrees. That is not an issue. But going to class after class, every single day, taking around 28 to 32 classes per week, learning the children's name, getting through the syllabus, and handling all sorts of children, because we don't have separate classrooms. So there might be a couple of very naughty children who are not interested in the class right at that moment. There might be 2 or 3 children who are having some problem at home and they are not interested in learning. To bring them all to the same page and then deliver the lecture and be motivated enough every single day to come and do that and evaluate them is a great challenge. And that, as a principal, was the greatest challenge, to motivate them every single day, to convey to them that what they are doing is a great job and to do it better every time that they are doing it. Those evaluations were very important, where you needed to, point out where they can enhance themselves and at the same time point out what they are doing good and how they can improve with time. So these were the challenges as a principal that I faced with the parents and with the teachers. Over to you.
You mentioned about parents, and I was just wondering how difficult it would be for you to convincing them for something which doesn't exist. Not today, not tomorrow, not in 5 years, probably in 10, 15 years. You're giving them a dream, you're giving them a vision that they need to look into, for which they need to work for, and motivating them. Amazing. That's amazing. And then talking about children, I think that's something as VP education also I come across whenever somebody is evaluating a speaker, they come back and say, Nancy, how do we evaluate them when we don't even know the speaker? Learn it from a principal who meets hundreds of children every day and then providing them her evaluation points with them. That's becoming an important skill, right? So yeah, thank you so much for emphasizing more on that. My next question is for Toastmaster Bindu here. Toastmaster Bindu, healthcare professionals often communicate with patients and colleagues under stressful conditions. How has Toastmasters training helped you in maintaining clear and empathetic communication in healthcare settings?
Okay, Nancy. First of all, disclaimer, my thoughts do not reflect the thoughts of doctors in general. They are my thoughts on this. And they're a little bit unconventional. I will divide this into two halves because you have talked about stress with patients and stress in my career or with other colleagues, professionals, peers, two different areas. Let's take the first one related to patients. How will Toastmasters help me? I don't think it's going to help me at all. Because if I were on the other chair, if I were the patient, what would I want from my doctor? I want someone with focus, someone who is empathetic with you, someone who answers your questions. And I may not be too worried about script or hand gestures, effective gestures, how many ahs or ums my doctor is going to have. I might not need Toastmasters to give me those skills. But on the other hand, if you take the other perspective or aspect of my career, dealing with my colleagues, my peers, and the oncology community as such, Toastmasters has limitless possibilities in providing areas of improvement, as well as so much more. Because see, if I have learned something treating my patients, or if I have learned something from my research, and if I want to transfer that to help others, it shouldn't be limited to people who come in contact with me during my lifetime. It should carry on. You should have a butterfly effect. The only way to do that is to be an effective communicator. You should be able to share that message, impress people with that message, show your peers globally that you have this data in India, this data on Indian patients that is relevant, that is new, that has potential to change the direction of survival in cancer patients. Or you get the gist of it. It is imperative. If you have a message, if you want that message to be impactful beyond your lifetime, your skills, Toastmasters will just give you the Zoom charisma, communication, charisma, style, everything you need, all the tools you need to get that impactful message through. Back to you, Nancy.
I totally concur with the thought that when it comes to a survival situation, that time your R-counters report doesn't come handy. All you need to do is to rely on what you know by that time. And that's where the training matters the most. And what better way of knowing that how to communicate to a patient and to your professionals, to your colleagues, to your peers, that too through Toastmasters. Thank you so much for emphasizing on this point. Toastmaster Bindu, my next question is for DTM Bala here. DTM Bala, how can professionals in technical fields like data science benefit from participating in Toastmasters, and what unique challenges have you overcome so far? This question is personal to me because I also deal with data scientists in my team, and then they say, what's the need? Why do you talk about Toastmasters? I would love to know your thoughts on the same.
Yeah, I will share my personal experience and what the challenges that I have in my professional career. I'm with Citi as head of data strategy and data governance and data analytics for offshore wealth management. Most of the time, it's about connecting the dots. Every single one of us have data points today. I mean, every one of us. Okay, one family, two clubs. This is the third anniversary. I've completed so many pathways. Every single thing is a data point. The question is, what do you do with that data? How do you connect those dots? Now, one of the things that I actually learned from Toastmaster is structuring. We talk about speech structure. How do we effectively connect the dots, start a speech, communicate your message with the right structure, going back, looping back. When you conclude, are you able to make sure the message gets repeated? Are you able to make sure that the audience is able to get the content? Are you doing it in the right way, the transitions? All of this is very valuable in your professional career. When you go and present to your audience, you need to have a structure. And that structure comes from practice. Toastmaster is a great platform for me to overcome the challenge of structuring my communication in the right way, one. Second, most important aspect of it is time. When you deal with senior executives, I'm always in this executive leadership meeting. I can tell you that in 1 hour, we deal with so many topics. We have very, very little time to go and really make a point. So we need to do that in 2-3 minutes. I only get like 5 minutes in my executive management meeting with my Asia leadership team. And I need to really, really inform down the challenge that I need, the support I need, and I have to do that effectively. And where I learned that skill, absolutely in Toastmasters now, I'm actually sharpening my ability to do it in a concise way, but to the point and make that impact. And the third most important challenge, which I'm actually overcome because of Toastmaster, is I always believe practice makes you perfect. If you want to really communicate effectively, do so. Even table topics, I always believe, is something that you can practice. If you're able to do that, and platform as a Toastmasters, as a platform, has given me ample opportunities to practice. And that is now effectively translated in my professional life. So my dear audience who are all listening, these three things, if not anything else: structure, time management, and practice. These are the three skills that I would say I was able to translate from Toastmaster into my professional life.
So data is only numbers unless you derive some information out of it. And for deriving that information out of it, you need to have a structure, you need to understand time management, and you need to understand what do you want to communicate within that particular duration itself. Thank you so much, TTM Mala. Moving on to my next question. This is for Toastmasters Amita. Toastmasters Amita, how do you see Toastmasters continuing to benefit you and potentially influencing your post-retirement activities?
So, you know, for a large part of my life, I thought talking comes naturally to everyone because I was very talkative. But it was only after my marriage that I realized that my husband doesn't like to talk at all. He, being a doctor, could write articles, but could not present them. And I was so surprised. How is it difficult to go on the stage and speak? That is when I learned that everyone cannot go on the stage and speak so fluently. They feel frightened. Okay, he was my first subject, you can say, of my experiment when I coaxed him to go and learn and present. And when he got the first prize, then he went on to the international stage. I am a passionate teacher. So my teaching journey, I was teaching my students how to be confident, how to speak well in English. And they did very well in their life. When they came back, they told me that, ma'am, you need to take this message to a larger audience. That is when I started my soft skill journey. Being in a small town made me realize that everyone is not lucky enough to have that opportunity. So my mission right now is to empower these young professionals. Why Toastmaster? Because I need to unlearn and relearn many things. As I had said earlier, speaking for 1 hour is not a problem. Speaking for 5 minutes is. So here comes my Toastmaster journey. I try to attempt every table topic because that 2 minutes time to present your thought is very important, because today's day and age, people do not have the time to sit and listen for a long time. You want to attract the youth, it has to be very precise. Second thing is that in the Toastmasters journey, what we learned that every time you come, you deliver a speech, you see someone else delivering a speech, you learn. And with that, every speech you are gaining confidence. This confidence is essential. This is what I'm going and teaching back to my students, that the more you practice, the better you are at. You may start from journey zero. You may not be able to stand and speak 3 sentences together. It's okay. If you are committed and you keep on practicing, you will improve with every step. And no one is your competitor except you yourself. If you're better than what you did last time, it is good enough. Go for the next round. And what all lessons I'm learning from here is what I am implementing in my own journey. unless and until I keep on learning, I will never be able to give it back to my students. I have to be a student first to help my students. So my journey continues every single time I learn something, I imbibe that, and I go and take it back to my students. This is my journey of Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Samita. What I understand is no matter you have spent 30 years as a communicator, no matter what you are doing right now in your life, communication is something that you definitely need to hone for your personal levels, for your professional levels, and it keeps on being there. It is gonna be there. So it's never late to start your communication journey. If you are still wondering whether you should learn this skill or not, I think this answers everyone's question. Moving on to my next panelist, Toastmaster Bindu. Toastmaster Bindu, in a rapidly evolving medical field, how do you see the skills that you gained in Toastmasters contributing to your adaptability and continuous learning?
Well, I think I have already waxed ad nauseum about sending my message and passing it out to future generations and helping the oncology field. So I'm not going to tell you about that. I'm going to tell you the one skill that has helped me the most as of now in my career and in my life in general. And surprisingly, it's not the speechcraft. Speechcraft and the confidence in communicating, I'm a work in progress, and you know that I have a long way to go. But it is actually the skills you learn as an evaluator that has helped me so much. I did mention that we are in a regional cancer center. I am also a professor. That means I'm a mentor and a guide to a lot of junior budding oncologists. Evaluation, the skills that Toastmaster teaches us, the way that we see evaluation, has helped me in bridging the generation gap of teaching. Let me just explain. At the time when I was a student, and suppose I didn't bring a journal to class, or if I did badly during answering questions in ward rounds, I would have to suffer comments like, you better leave the course, or you can go jump over the parapet. I have even written imposition of 100 times for forgetting 2 words in a definition of some cancer-related terminology. Do you think that that style of didactic teaching would benefit Gen X? Do you think your niece or your future daughter or your sister, younger sister, might tolerate that sort of teaching style? Absolutely not. The evaluation aspect of trying to see the best part of the individual that you are evaluating, because believe me, everyone has that. Now, when I see a student, before I go into a lecture on what they have done wrong, I will first see what they have done right. There is a good aspect in every student. Some might be good in their theory aspect. Some may not be that good in theory aspect, but may have exceptional patient communication skills. Hone on to that, connect with them, gain their confidence, and don't just expect them to find the solutions on their own. Give them examples, tell them how to go about it. And all this is the same pattern that you use in evaluation when you are evaluating your speaker. So it has helped me immensely to be a better teacher as far as my career is concerned. And I hope to, show my juniors who eventually will become teachers if they follow an academic institution to carry it on. So Nancy, I'm just saying that it just carries on to every aspect of your life. And it is an invaluable tool. Back to you, Nancy.
When I was listening to you, I was trying to relate the same to my family, my sister. Whenever I have to communicate anything to her, being a youngster herself, it becomes sometimes difficult when you become bossy. And not everyone tries to take that attitude of yours unless they are professionally involved. So yeah, she is not professionally involved with me. And that point in time, constructive feedback becomes more important because you want her to learn, you want yourself to learn. And I can totally relate to the fact that you mentioned there's no better place than Toastmasters to continuously practice the skill as an evaluator, as a journal evaluator, where you have to find points for a newbie speaker to motivate that person, and for a learned speaker, for an experienced speaker to give some areas of improvements. You learn to balance both. Thank you so much, Dr. Bindhu. I would now turn to the audience in case anyone has any questions. Please feel free to share your questions in the chat box. We'll take your questions in the chat box. In the interest of time, in the meanwhile, everyone is sharing their questions in the chat box. One last question for my panelists here. What advice would you give to professionals considering joining Toastmasters to enhance their workplace skills? I would want my panelists to be brief, one-liner or two-liner on this one, starting with DTM Bala.
Yeah, this is my favorite question, to be honest. So I'm going to take a liberty of taking slightly more than a minute. So for me, the obvious one is everybody joins Toastmasters to become a better speaker and to become a better leader. But I look at that as a side effect. My friends, when I joined Toastmasters and where I am today, I have become a better reader. I've actually started reading a lot. In 3.5 years, I've completed 100 books because it has actually helped me to actually communicate better. And I've now actually become a better writer. I'm actually writing speeches better. My reading skills, my writing skills have improved tremendously. And more importantly, I now know a little bit more about me. It's not a philosophical question. If you're actually trying, if there are somebody here trying to understand who am I, and you're trying to understand what values do I stand for, what is my real identity, what is it that I want to express, what is it that I don't want to express, join Toastmasters. You will find out who you really are. Back to you, DTM.
Thank you, DTM Bala. This is something new for me as well when you mentioned that you have started reading more. Thank you so much. Moving on to Toastmaster Samita.
Toastmaster for me is one, building a lot of confidence. Now you'll ask me, being in this field, where do I lack in confidence? Yes, I also lack in confidence. When the world shifted online, I am used to 40 students sitting in front of me and I am speaking. Speaking to a camera was a huge challenge for me. I couldn't see anyone's face and I had to speak to the camera. Definitely joining Toastmaster, I could overcome that. Second, becoming an active listener. This, I never knew, I was not a very good listener, but I understood in this journey that listening is important and I am not as good as I thought I was. So that was one takeaway. And I will agree with what Bala has said. When you have to write speech after speech, you actually start taking out experiences which you have undergone in your life and putting them out. The best part of it is you get a chance to rethink and derive some lessons out of it. Once you experience it, maybe a good or a bad one, you store it in your mind. You never rethink about it. But here is a chance where you rethink about those experiences and try to get out, what did I learn from it? That experience teaches us a lot. Being a professional, you have to join this to understand yourself better, to listen to others better, and to be very precise in your communication, structured communication, where others will be happy that within a given time frame, you could tell what you had to say and you gave them those bullet points to take back. That is what I learned. And that is why I urge everyone to join Toastmasters.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Samita. Moving on to Toastmaster Bindu.
Nancy, basically, I'm a scientist. So my first advice is analyze the hell out of it. Go to different Toastmaster meetings, find someone who inspires you. Use that inspiration to develop a dream. See, what aspect of them would you like to adapt, to adopt, to make it yours? Next thing is, see what Toastmasters has to give you beyond that dream. Toastmasters, it's a global community. The sort of mentors and friends that you make in Toastmasters, they can enrich your life. They can transform your life beyond the agenda of pathways, beyond anything that Toastmasters teaches you through the experience of communication, the connections. They can make a tremendous difference. That is my short 1-minute pitch of what Toastmasters, why people should join Toastmasters. Back to you, Nancy.
We have already heard from all three panelists, our esteemed panelists, why you should join Toastmasters and what's their take on their Toastmasters journey. Now the floor is open for question and answer from the audience. I already see DTM Saurav raising his hand. DTM Saurav, your question.
Not a question. I just wanted to add a comment to what all the panelists said, and this is not my saying. This is a very beautiful quote, my favorite, by Dr. Ralph C. Smedley. So he says, to the other values of Toastmasters training, let us add this one with emphasis, that it is the busy man's best chance to take a postgraduate course in general information without inconvenience or loss of time. So basically what he's saying is that you come to Toastmaster meetings to learn speaking and leadership skills and whatnot, but you go back with much more. I mean, just imagine in today's session, you heard from a war veteran about the importance of communication skills as a survival skill. You heard from, the cancer specialist. You heard from a data scientist. You heard from a school principal. So many facets of their career. Tell me one platform where without paying a dime, you will be able to, get such knowledge, because what we are paying for is learning communications and public speaking, right? But this information which you got, I think people pay through their nose to get this kind of knowledge, and we got that in just a few hours. If you look at yesterday's session as well, the accredited speakers, I mean, the kind of information we got, general information, so invaluable. So I think that is one of the biggest reasons why I am excited about those stuff.
Thank you, DTM Saurav, for adding your 2 cents to what our panelists have mentioned, and that definitely adds value to everyone's comments. And I would like to thank my panelists for coming here today. Those were definitely valuable insights for not just for existing Toastmasters, for those who are struggling with learning here, with evaluation, with speeches, why they should be doing it. You help them understand their why. But at the same time, for someone who is new, who is yet to join Toastmasters, who is still struggling why communication is important, you have given them not just 1, 2, but multiple reasons to be here. And I would say I'm proud to have all 3 of you as part of the Gabbies, where we get to learn from all 3 of you every day, not just in this panel discussion, but whenever we have a communication with you, one-on-one, in different meetings, through speeches. Yes, there's a lot to learn from these panelists. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Toastmaster Samita. Thank you, Dr. Bindu. Thank you, DTM Pala. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nancy.
Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, I'm unmuted. Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Nancy Goel, for walking us through this lovely panel discussion. The need for the hour, because a lot of us assume things, especially that we are best at communication, but it is at a much later stage of life that we realize the importance and where we stand. Thank you for bringing forth to us and spreading the awareness from different walks of life. It was not from just one person. We heard from a teacher, a doctor, a data analyst, and of course, our colonel. So thanks a ton for this brilliant panel discussion and sharing these views with us. Moving ahead with our Ubuntu. There are 3 more words, or in fact, 4 more words that I would like to check with you all. Quickly, I know we are at 12. What is the meaning of Arglor? That's again part of the content. Arglor, anyone?
Insights.
Something related to glory.
Glory, yes, that's right. The next one is Ufakasi.
Testimonials.
Testimonials, yeah, it actually means to witness or a witness to something. So I think that has been converted to the section called as testimonial section that we have in the newsletter. The next word is Noel. Anyone would like to try that? Noel, it's a French word.
New.
Something new.
New, yes, it means new. So how does that relate to our magazine? It means the contribution by the newest members of the Gabbies. That's what that section has. And coming to the last section, last word, Idu nimage. ಇದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
ಇದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿದೆ.
ಹೌದು, ಇದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿದೆ. It's for you. Idu nimage means it's for you. And what does this section hold? This holds a tribute to our roots, that is Namma Bengaluru. So that was the contents of Ubuntu 6. Now that I have given you an insight of what to find in there, I think immediately after this meeting, you should just glance through at least to get some more information. With this, I sign off as the Toastmaster of the day for today. Wishing Gabbies a happy, happy, happy birthday. And I want the Gabbies to know how special you are to me. Thank you for being there always and forever. With this, I hand over the baton back to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Dhwani.
Wow, what an amazing session that we've had today, isn't it? I think everybody over here must be feeling very energetic, and we had such great insights from our very own panelists and Colonel. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in today and making your Saturday a very productive one. And happy birthday to the Gabbies and to us, right? With that, I would like to declare the meeting closed, but tomorrow we have an amazing day. It's a Sunday and we'll be having a lot of fun with different activities that we've planned. We'll have food. It's a hybrid meeting. So please do come in person. We would love to see everybody over there. And for the people like me who are not there, we'll have major FOMO, but don't worry, we have internet with us. We have Zoom with us, right? So please dial in from Zoom. Thank you so much. I declare the meeting closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.